people who were their siblings, the people who came before them, in terms of what's really most important in life, and that is how we treat each other, which I think we all know, but we don't always do it. Judy was a wonderful person. The more I got to know her over the years, and sometimes these things, even with siblings, take decades to really appreciate the depth of the person that you're dealing with. I was very fortunate to be Jude's brother. I learned a lot, especially over the last year or so, from talking with people who worked with Jude or went to college with her. And one of the things I was most struck with in conversations with people she worked with, many of whom came today, and people who were at the hospital, was how consistent Judy was with people. I knew how she treated our family, my mother and my father, my grandmother, and myself, and A-Day. But what really impressed me was the similarity in terms of the words that people use to describe her. And that really made me feel good. And when something like this happens, I think all of you know that we all need a lot of help. This is something that, someone you love and you've been involved with for such a long period of time passes, even if you're prepared, as A-Day did a great job of preparing us. It's very difficult to carry on the way you normally would. I'm considered a very organized, logical person, and I feel like I'm sort of out of sorts since Judy passed because of the fact that she meant so much to me. But all of these things that people have done, like A-Day, like our parents, and the folks like you who came today, the people who came to the hospital that worked with her, I can't tell you how much it meant to me to hear former co-workers of Judy's, either people she reported to or people that reported to her, how similar so many of their adjectives were to how I knew Judy, as being not only a person that was very intense, very forthright, very honest about things. And these are the kind of things that I always envied Judy about. And the reason why I guess I envied them was I wished that I had that ability that she did to be so direct with people about what was important to her, but still do it in a way that didn't come across as mean-spirited or unpleasant or unchristian in any way. Judy was just a vibrant life force around us, and I appreciated that. I was a shy kid when I was growing up. Judy was not, as most of you know, and I looked up to her for that. She just wasn't just a life at a party. There was a vibrancy about her in her dealings with people. And most of you know that already, so I won't go on and on about it. But there was something special. And when I've talked, especially in the last several months, to friends who knew her like I did because they went to the same grade school, and they asked, how's Judy doing? How's Judy doing? And we talked, and I would talk to them about her, how she was doing, about my remembrances of her, and they understood it, and it helped me a lot personally. And I said, I wish there was more I could do. And he said, well, Tom, you're not a medical person, right? And you're an IT person, or an accountant. You're not someone who's going to cure leukemia. All you can do is try to be supportive of A-Day and to be there for Judy. And I was glad that she recognized that I was. what I admired about Judy was this vibrancy in life and the fact that she was willing and really interested in people, as the previous person indicated, in terms of, we would go places like down south to Aiken, South Carolina, and sometimes we would meet people, other young people. This is back in the late 50s and early 60s. And as soon as he met them, Judy was just very interested in them right from the beginning. And she would say, I remember in one case there were two sisters who lived right next door to my grandmother's house. And they wanted, they saw us, and they had never seen us before. And as soon as Judy saw them, she went to her grandmother and says, "Can I go over and talk to those two girls? Me and Tommy are going to talk with them." She was interested in that. I was shy, and I just, I followed her basically. Even though I was older and I had better grades in school, that didn't matter. It was really what was in her heart. And I really appreciated the fact that she had that kind of feeling about people in general, as well as our family. And I guess one of the things that's helped me the most after what's happened with her the last several months and her passing was that I don't have any regrets based upon having a relationship with her that was unpleasant, because it wasn't unpleasant. And that meant a lot to me, to be able to say, the older you get, even if you get along with siblings, as we all learn things in life, you begin to see even the things that might rankle you a little bit about a sibling. You can appreciate that we're all different. We all have our own personalities, and different things happen to people that can cause you to better understand why they may have done something or said something that bothered you. I'm just so thankful to be Judy Pierce's brother. It meant so much to me because I can look back now and I can remember things that happened. I remember when our family bought a house up in the North Bronx, and we moved up there. This was around 1959 or so, and I had just started college. So we're all going through a lot of changes. Judy, myself, my mother, my father, the whole family, getting a house. So our mother and father drove us up to the house. It was on a Saturday, I remember. It wasn't a school day. And it was the first time we were there in the Northeast Bronx, as opposed to the South Bronx where we grew up. And we sort of settled into the house. It was a Saturday, and I remember I had plans to go to hear some jazz down in the village, the Greenwich Village, and I went. I guess it was about 7 or 8 o'clock that I left, take the train down to Manhattan. And I remember something Judy said that may not seem significant, but it was to me. And that as I was getting ready to walk out the door, she turned to my mother and father and said, "Well, is Tommy going to be able to get back? I mean, we've never been up here before." And she was worried about me. And that was one of the few times I can recall a situation where she had expressed concern. Even though I was 2 years older and I was a male and she was a female, she still wanted to make sure her family would be safely reconstituted in this new home that we had. And I've thought about that many, many times. I don't recall what I've ever even told her, whether she remembers it, but it meant a lot to me. It told me that she concentrated on us as individuals and as part of a family, and she really wanted to make sure that nothing was going to happen as we moved through these changes in our life. And I'll never forget that. I want to thank her. One thing I did tell her, I guess about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I said, "Judy, there's so much you've done in your life, and it's explained in the program that, as a black woman, I just respect enormously." She and I were both involved in the civil rights movement back in the late 50s, early 60s. And typically, because Judy was more outgoing and more of a life force than I was, she joined the Congress of Racial Equality, CORE, because as you probably recall, they were more aggressive in terms of fighting for rights for black people. I joined the NAACP because they were more conservative, more organized. It was just a difference between us. And there were a few times when we did something together. The NAACP branch that I was in up in the North Bronx and CORE, and we would actually work together. And I can honestly say I was never happier than that, because I just respected what Judy did. I remember, and I'll end with this little anecdote that happened. One night back then, when Judy was with CORE, she went on a demonstration, and I didn't even know about it. It was something she was doing just with them that didn't involve the NAACP. And I remember hearing my mother sound very exasperated late at night. She just got off the phone, and what she had got off the phone was with people who were talking about that Judy was jailed from a demonstration. And what she said, and I was laying in bed just listening to my mother go on and on. She said, I told Judy not to get arrested. And I've always been proud of Judy, but I don't think I was ever more proud then. And I just smiled and laughed to myself. This was something I never would have done, quite frankly. I would not want to have an arrest record on my resume, because I was the type of guy who was with the NAACP and didn't want, I was going to become an accountant, and it's not like I sold out, but I was just the type of person that just didn't take chances. Judy did. She had a vibrancy about herself, and she was a risk taker, but I was in agreement with what she did. Not that she needed my agreement. So I just want to end this by saying I can't say enough about my sister. She was just incredibly special to me, as she is to all of you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. I mean, you have other things you could do with your life, with your time. But above all else, as I said before, I want to thank Judy, and I told her this. I said, of all the things that you did, in school and in your careers that you've had, which we're all so proud of, none of them are greater than your creating and raising A-Day. That was something that just, I never had any children, first of all, but if I did, I don't think I could have done as good a job as Judy did. So I want to end by saying I just appreciate all that she did, and I'm so glad that A-Day was around to represent our family and help her mother in every way possible. But I also want to, lastly, is to thank all of you for coming. I mean, people always say that, people come to wakes and funerals, and they mean it, as I do. But when you sit and you listen to people talk about your late sister, and whether it's people you've never met before, who she worked with or went to college with, or people that are in the family that live a long way away and travel. I traveled down from Albany, and it wasn't an easy trip. I won't go into the details, but so I don't take lightly the fact that people are willing to give of their time and come down to Brooklyn to pay tribute to a very, very special person. So I thank you. It makes things a lot easier for me. Take care.